Hello everyone, and welcome to another Wine Steward video. We are enjoying reaching out to you this way every week, and we're glad that you are watching and experiencing, at least from a distance, some of the wines that I'm enjoying here and telling you about new things and so on. This is the final weekend coming up of street closure, so the restaurants are enjoying at least getting you inside a little bit and outside on the street for the final weekend this weekend, and that means Main Street will be closed from Friday afternoon through Sunday evening. And that means if you're going to do pickup with us, the so-called curbside method, then you can come to the back door, okay? Ring the back doorbell or just give us a call and we'll be ready for your curbside order that you've ordered off of thewinesteward.com. More and more of you are in fact coming inside the store safely and doing your purchasing that way. And we're seeing lots of you. And we appreciate everyone's participation in a little bit of social distancing and the whole masks thing. So thanks so much for doing that. Well, what else is happening this weekend? Well, of course, we have a holiday coming up. I know last week I was talking all about Thanksgiving wines. We never really say much about Halloween wines because I'm not really sure what those are. But why don't we actually address this holiday, get into the spirit a little bit, and tell you, Let's tell you about facing your fears. How about that? It's some things in this wine business can be a little bit scary. Some things about wine, the subject, can be daunting. And that professorial dude in the tweed jacket and eyebrows out to here and hair growing out his ears and going on and on about this Bordeaux that he's been saving for 20 years. And if you don't understand it, then you're simply not a great wine appreciator. That bullshit is bullshit, and we like to allay your fears. Every time you walk in the store and show you something new, we tell you about it, and that's how it is, really. We want you to have a sense of wonder, to be somewhat fearless, and we're here to help. So why don't we help you today talk about some things that might appear to be scary and yet are actually delicious, and all you need is a little information, perhaps, to disarm the whole fear thing. Let's start, in fact, with something that's not wine, and this item right in front of us. This sells so well to those of you who know that Marcona almonds from Spain. Spain's about the only place around growing these beautiful almonds that have a nice buttery texture to them. They are, in some instances, treated with paprika, and that's why they look scarily hot, right? Do you think this is going to be hot and spicy? In fact, no. These are delicious. We actually get these in this bag. I can barely lift. This big sucker looks like 20 pounds of coffee. No, it's about 20 pounds of Marcona almonds. And they come raw, and we roast them in-house. So they come all the way from Spain like that, and then we get them open and roast them one batch at a time. And some of them we leave bare. We just treat them with some olive oil and salt. And the other ones we give this extra treatment of paprika, better called pimenton. Pimenton is Spain's name for paprika. They make it there. We sell some, and you can buy it that way. You should always have it in your spice cabinet. Some pimenton from Spain. We have it in different qualities. We used the smoke pimenton, or pimenton ahumado with these. And once again, looks scary. They are not. They're really delicious. You get this, not even a heat. You get just a dusty spiciness. So if you haven't ventured, if you haven't been bold enough to buy these yet, please, your fears are now allayed. You should try the paprika treated, I should say pimenton, Marcona almonds. Almendras, they call them over there. Almendras, Marconas. All right, we got the food thing out of the way. Let's tell you about a wine that is just haunting me. I am haunted by the idea of putting this in the wine club next month. So this could in fact appear in the Wine Adventure Wine Club. Why the Wine Adventure Wine Club? That's the club that at $39.99 gives you 2 bottles of red that are not domestic. In other words, we take you somewhere else. So those club members are already a little braver, a little less fearful, and are willing to venture out, willing to try things because we've said that they're good, and they've started to believe us. I don't want to screw up. I'm afraid I might screw up by giving you this wine. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to write the wine club notes that we always send to you electronically, but make sure everybody gets to read them this time by printing out the actual notes for this particular wine, if we club it. Because this takes some explaining. This has wine qualities of tannins. And in fact, it's made with a grape called Tannat, T-A-N-N-A-T, which is generally known, at least by those who've ever heard of it, as perhaps the most tannic grape variety out there. Tannins are the feeling on your tongue of astringency, of chalkiness. They bring grief to your tongue. And when tannins happen in the right amount, that's good grief, Charlie Brown. But when there's too much tannin, it's a distraction. How can you resolve tannin, especially with food? And this wine from the southwest part of France is often paired with the regional fare, well known as cassoulet. Cassoulet, a rich stew, and wine from Mataran, that's the name of the region, which is made of Tannat typically. They go so well together, but separate from that cassoulet or something else similarly hearty, a beef stew, if you will, you will perhaps not understand this wine. We've got to talk it up. So, and what has helped here is the producer, in this case, taming Tannat a little bit. This is in fact 60% Tannat and 40% Cabernet Franc. And so the Cabernet Franc kind of soothes the savage beast a little bit. And I think, but look what I've been doing. I've had this wine open, actually with no cork in it, for 3 days. I keep coming back. I keep wondering, should we club this? Should we club this? This is the Chateauneuf. I've been abusing this thing. It probably shouldn't have had the cork out all this time, but it is actually getting more and more friendly. The beast is becoming tamed. I love this nose. I can imagine rainy nights with cassoulet that I've been making for 2 days. I've never actually made cassoulet, but I've gotten to eat it a lot because other people have taken on that formidable task. But once again, you could do things like hearty stews along with this. It's fragrant. It's a little curmudgeonly. There's a beast in there, still growling a bit, but fragrant. I think I said that. That's the Cab Franc probably doing it. Now, how much is this Tannat part of it going to hurt? There's something a little scary there, but I can imagine it being resolved, tamed by food. So, a scary wine in and of itself, to the person who's never heard of this kind of thing before, yes, but for you brave souls who are in our Wine Adventure Wine Club, who will also read your notes, I think everything will make sense. That's why we write the notes. We advise you on whether you should eat something and what you should eat with the wine we're handing you. This is going to be a very food-sensitive wine, as I said. I'm getting braver by the moment. The more of this I sip, I think we'll be clubbing it. I like that. Well, what else is scary about wine? How about grape varieties we've absolutely never heard of? And you walk into a wine shop, and perhaps if you're the brave sort, and you also invite us to help you with selections, then everything's resolved, right? You get a little coaching. So please be brave enough to ask us for help if we're not sensitive enough to ask you if you'd like some help. And we will probably show you this wine along the way. You might not have looked at it otherwise because it is made of a grape, which does it even appear on the front label? Now, like many French wines, there's no name on the front. I don't think. I don't have my reading glasses on, but this is from Provence, France. We've heard of that, but we do expect Provence wines to be what color? Pink, right? Some of the greatest pink wines, dry rosés in the world come from Provence. This comes from Provence, but it's a white wine from Domaine Gaboty. Grand Classique is the nickname. That means diddly squat. Maybe that is diddly squat in French. I don't know. Côte de Provence. That's where it's from. What this is made entirely of, and maybe they do tell us on the back label that I can't read, this is made entirely of a grape called Rolle, R-O-L-L-E. We have talked this wine up before, maybe even last week, but this is to let you know that we still have, because we bought all that was left of it, Rolle. Oh, I'm freaked out, I'm scared, right? But happy Halloween, be a little scared. Try this wine. Rolle is actually the same as Vermentino. Vermentino, perhaps slightly better known to you, especially if you love Italian white wines. This grape grows not only in Italy, but also in the south of France, where often the name changes to Rolle. All right? So, how about a roll in the hay? Roll in si hay. Remember Terry Garr in Young Frankenstein? Would you like to go for a roll in si hay? And Gene Wilder's saying, what? And then she says, roll in si hay, and they're on a hayride basically, and it's very sweet. At any rate, try the roll. Sorry for that. How about something else scary? Oh, are you scared? You should be. This is Muscadet. And it looks like Muscadet, and it might be scaring you because it sounds a hell of a lot like Muscat. And you don't dare go into the sweet wine region, do you? No, you may never come back. Sweet wine? No. Muscat? My first love, by the way. But this is not Muscat. Muscadet is the name of the wine region. And this is an area of the Western Loire Valley of France. And the grape is actually called Melon, like melon, Melon de Bourgogne. And like the melon of Burgundy, because this grape also used to grow over in Burgundy. I don't think it does anymore. And now this is its bastion, you could say. This is where Melon of Bourgogne flourishes and makes a bracing, briny, lively, tangy, bone-dry wine. All you gotta do is ask or watch this video and come in and get some of this. We haven't had a Muscadet on the shelf, bad us, for about 4 or 5 months. And whoa, that's quite the screw cap. A little pop to it. I gotta try it. It just got here yesterday. I tasted it with a vendor only 4 days ago and said, well done, Guillaume. You've just found us our next Muscadet. And Guillaume is also applauding me for almost pronouncing that correctly. Almost. The French will always correct you. They'll always work on your pronunciation. Have you ever noticed that? But that's all right. I want to learn how to say it. Perhaps my final dying words will be Muscadet, and I'll have said it perfectly. Wow, this is lemony. I can smell the dryness. It's very vivacious. It's not as lemon curd as the Chenin Blancs we often talk about on these videos. This is more nervy, more electrical, more lime peel too. Just maybe more lime than lemon. It's vivacious. It's not as expressive. It's not as complex as some of the great Chenin Blancs that we talk about. Muscadet never aspires, or I should say rarely does, because there's actually some of these that age amazingly. But this is serviceable white wine, and it does great service to raw oysters and other shellfish treatments. Try some Muscadet. It doesn't break the bank. I think it prices somewhere in the mid-teens. Big deal. Chill it down. Be brave. Try it. Muscadet. It's not sweet. It's not Muscat. Now here's a wine type that perhaps you should be a little scared of. This is a wine called Barbaresco. Let's get one of these bottles up here. Maybe I can fit them both up here. Barbaresco. This is the queen of Piemonte, the queen version of Nebbiolo from Piemonte, Italy. And these are new for us. Yes, there's 2 in front of you, not 1. You are not seeing double. You are in fact looking at 2 vintages of Barbaresco. We could not say no to one or the other because it's a pair. They tell a wonderful story. One is 2015 vintage. The other, by the same producer, made of 100% Nebbiolo, is from the 2016 vintage. And they are beautiful snapshots of their respective vintages. I'm not going to open them today. Barbaresco is kind of a pricey wine. These are actually fairly affordable per the category. With your wine club discount, I think we do dip under $40 for each of these vintages. And what's really cool is one is a little more ready to drink than the other. Actually, one is a lot more ready to drink than the other. The 2015, which I think I'm pointing to here, is beautiful in your Burgundy glass or your New World Pinot glass that we've been touting. This is the glass you would want to use with any Nebbiolo, we think. These are no exceptions to that. And 100% Nebbiolo, I've already said, Barbaresco, right next to Barolo. So Barolo or Barolo, however you want to say it, is a wine region specializing in Nebbiolo. Barbaresco is the neighboring wine region specializing in Nebbiolo. Did I say? Yeah, I think I said that right. Barolo is 100% Nebbiolo. So is Barbaresco. The regions right next to each other. And one is just a little more easy to drink early on. That's Barbaresco, theoretically. Okay, this 15 is nice Barbaresco. You can get to it now. You make that ossobuco on a cold winter night, and you have this decanting. It'll be beautiful with that winter feast. So, what about this? The 16? Not ready to drink. Sorry. The plan is to age this Or why not serve them both and see the differences? But you'll appreciate the fact that this wine will save so much more for you later. Right now, it's a tannic monster. So maybe you ought to be a little afraid. Be a little afraid. This is beautiful Nebbiolo that acts a lot like Barolo instead of the Barbaresco that it's called. It's chunky, monkey, it's tannic. It is something that the producer was delighted to produce in 2016 because it actually behaves like Barbaresco used to. The whole global warming thing is being felt big time in this region. They are having a hard time making sturdy, high tannin Barbaresco anymore. The wines are almost too friendly and not ageable enough. And so they were so glad when they rendered this wine. They thought, we're back, at least this vintage we are, to traditional Barbaresco. Now, what you ought to be afraid of is getting it wrong. Like, which one do you pick up? Maybe you've forgotten. Like, you saw the video, you came in asking for this Barbaresco, but Jim, which vintage was the one that's more ready? We're cooking tonight. That's why we have these. These things, let's flip them down. These will hang under the wines down there. These are what we call shelf talkers. When I'm not around, when Eric's not around, maybe everybody's busy at the counter. I can't see you. We have these, at least, helping you a little bit on some of the wines. These wines really need the coaching, don't they? For everything I've just told you. Here's the 2015 explaining that it's more ready to drink. Here's the 16 shelf talker saying, look out, be a little afraid. Great Barbarescos, guys, especially for the price. Get your Italy on. Get your ossobuco recipe out. Get cooking. The great thing about that recipe is it takes all day. Well, that's kind of inconvenient, but take a day off and cook, right? And have this decanting the whole time. A wine type that many of you are still afraid of because it's got all kinds of connotations, and we talked about this last week, I think, is Beaujolais. Beaujolais is not a grape. Beaujolais is a wine region. I didn't mean to have this up, but here we are. Here's the Burgundy region. Some people say Beaujolais is part of it. Other people say, no, it's not part of it, but that's Beaujolais right there. That's the area where this wine comes from. So this is a Beaujolais village. That basically means it's at a quality level that it's pretty darn good, and it's at a price point that is pretty darn affordable. It's in the mid-teens. It's 100% Gamay, or Gamay Noir, some people call it. And it is beautiful. It is, you could call it poor man's Pinot, or forget the whole Pinot connotation and just say, this is beautiful red wine that you love to smell and smell and smell and smell, and then drink, and then maybe even guzzle. And you can give it a slight chill, and it's just happy wine. It doesn't, you know, some wines kind of growl. That wine I started with, this has a frown. It's an endearing kind of curmudgeonly frown, but this wine, you know, it makes you kind of wince and a little scared. There's nothing to be scared of here except for the connotations of Beaujolais and maybe that stigmatic attachment of the Beaujolais Nouveau that you've heard about. We might not carry any Beaujolais Nouveau this Thanksgiving, and it won't matter if you will get out of your little box and say, damn the Nouveau, let's drink real Beaujolais. Let's drink the good stuff. And this is very nice stuff for the mid-teens. So this is one by Toulon. It just came in. I tasted it the other day. And then I am so happily surprised to be able to tell you that a wine that we thought we were only going to get once, we bought all that was left. Apparently another shipment has arrived from France. This Saint-Amour is a cru Beaujolais. Saint-Amour is one of the 10 crus. The crus are subregions of Beaujolais that are identified as the better places within that grander area. So Saint-Amour, Morgon, Moulin-au-Vent, Renier, Fleury. On a good day, I can name all 10. I need to taste a little more wine and then I'll nail it. But right now, let's just tell you, we're so pleased that this wine that costs about 20 bucks that went to our Wine Adventure Wine Club several months ago, and you virtually bought us out. It's one of Ennis's favorite wine. It's in the store, so ask Ennis, where's that Saint-Amour that Jim was talking about? It's back. We are so fortunate that Thanksgiving will not be without this wine. Not my Thanksgiving, at least. So again, it's another 100% Gamay, beautiful wine. Serve it slightly chilled. Do it in a Pinot glass, whether it's the standard Pinot glass or this fancy New World Pinot glass that we've been talking up. Now, the final wine I'd like to tell you about, the announcement that this has landed should not strike fear in any heart out there. Perhaps the only crazy thing, maybe Frankenstein-y looking thing about this label is that it looks like something out of the Gothic times. You know, like this, you could say the wine of Frankenstein with this font, and it would make total sense. And maybe the length of this wine name here that you can't even read unless I pan. Chateauneuf de Pop. That's a lot of letters there. But once you learn how to say it, it's so fun to say. Chateauneuf de Pop. And you've so gotten into this wine, haven't you? And many of you have also gotten used to coming to our event that we do every year right about now. Actually, well, usually about the week before Thanksgiving. I'm here to announce that we will find a way somehow to represent those wines to you once again. We've been doing it since the 2005 vintage. I mean, we've been doing this thing for almost 15 years now. Can you believe that? Chateauneuf de Pop has become a favorite wine of many of you. And know also that it's just one subregion of the larger area called the Southern Rhone Valley. So when we do this event again, some way, somehow, we will be representing the Rhone Valley by telling you about Chateauneuf and Vacqueyras and white Rhones, maybe one rosé too. And maybe we'll venture to the Northern Rhone as well and perhaps try a Saint-Joseph or a Condrieu or something like that. And we'll just have a great night of Rhone immersion. But the coolest thing will be tasting probably 6 or 7 2017 and 2018 Chateauneuf de Pops. This wine just got here. I'm not waiting for the event to tell you that I'm going to put it on the shelf. We often hold these things back. Let's get some 17 on the shelf. One of our old friends, Charbonnier, Domaine de Charbonnier, is back. Last year's Chateauneuf de Pop event featured no fewer than 5 wines from this one producer. We tasted across. It was kind of like a cornerstone of the tasting. And we tasted 2 Vacqueyras village wines from Charbonnier, 2 different vintages of it, and then a white Chateauneuf de Pop, and then this so-called Domaine, and then I think we tasted like the Vieille Vigne, like an older and a higher end version from the same guys. Pretty cool snapshot of one winery in that great region called Chateauneuf de Pop. Nothing to be afraid of here. I've already tasted it once, but I tried it out in my Bordeaux glass. Now, as a grand finale, I'm gonna try it in our recently touted New World Pinot Noir glass, because I have a feeling, whereas Chateauneuf de Pop can throw a little bit of heat, sometimes a lot of heat, from the Pinot glass, well, this one has this taper that kind of narrows that down. And there goes the foam. Okay, don't fall.